Well, hey everybody, I got a very special guest today. You guys already know who he is. Hey, go ahead and introduce yourself in this episode of Intermissions.
Hello guys, my name is Tommy Wolf from Lit Media Productions. You guys probably know who I am. I've been around the Tri-Cities, Yakima area. You guys know me pretty well. Been doing this for a long time, so glad to be on here.
Lit Media, man, you are killing it. Everybody knows that. Your stuff is amazing. It's incredible. I can't wait to hear your story here in a second. So tell us, man, how did you get inspired to become a sports photographer, a photographer in general? Like, how did you get started in this field?
Okay, I want to give you a little background about myself. So I did a lot of photography when I was little. I did have like a FUJI camera, which wasn't the greatest camera, but I did a lot of Tritech. My 2 years of Tritech during my junior and senior year of high school. And then kind of just took off with that. Literally after high school, I went to KNDU. Got a job at KNDU as a SWX Sports videographer. Did stuff for the events, for the hydroplane races, for Dust Devil games. So got into that kind of a field. Was there for 7 years. I did a lot of sports photography slash videography for the news station after I got bumped up out of SWX. Was doing that for 7 years. Been around the local athletes for so long. Know the teams very well, so getting into that was a great help. And then when COVID hit, it really took a toll on photography, especially for us in the news station as well. Try to figure out things to do.
Dude, that's amazing. I didn't know you did the SWX thing. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, with all your experience you've had, whether it was during that time or even recently, what's been your favorite like memory? Maybe it was a moment in a sports game or an interview you do, because you also do interviews. What's been your favorite memory?
Oh, that's a tough one. My favorite sports memory so far, it has to be the March Madness tournaments. Getting to do the women's college March Madness tournament 2 years ago. Didn't get to do it last year for the men's tournament in Seattle. But getting it to this year in Spokane, I had teams from Alabama, GCU, all the big name schools, Auburn, St. Mary's, those kind of experiences, being around on the court, being part of the March Madness material, is such a blessing to me as a photographer wise. It is very hard to get into. You have to be the luck of the draw. So I've been pushing my way to get up there, showing portfolios. But meeting new creators and stuff is so much fun, getting in contact with them. But March Madness has probably been the one of the most experiences I've ever done. Watching that since I was a little kid. So being part of that as a photography wise, and then also having my dad up in the stands watching me what I do, him being there. So it's a big experience for me, especially it's a one in a million time opportunity you'll ever, never want to pass up.
Absolutely, man. I saw that you caught some Cougs versus USC, got some Bronny James in there. I saw that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. I gotta go off script. What's your dream shoot? Like, if you go shoot any sporting event or just any kind of shoot in general, what would it be?
It's got to be a Seahawks game. Been a big Seahawks fan for many years. You guys see him in the background here. One of my dream jobs is to be part of the Seahawks and just, show my craft and show what local talent can be around here from the Tri-Cities, to show what we can do up there. But yeah, capturing even Boise State Bronco football, that's one of my goals. So connections are keys if you guys are getting into photography stuff or social media platforms as myself. So just push. You got to push your, portfolio and do some stuff for free. Sometimes you don't, it's just how things work these days with degrees. So college degrees, you got to have all these things to do all this, but pushing your way, showing your portfolio, doing stuff for free that, you want to be paid for, but pushing yourself to do things that, gets your connections.
Yeah, I see all your photo shoots on Instagram. That's where I see most of your stuff, and it's obviously amazing.
Appreciate that.
Tell me though, I'm always curious myself. How do you like set up for a shoot? How do you know where to be? Like, how do you know? Like, do you prepare for that? Do you study that, or do you just get lucky?
I'm gonna go back to the March Madness and thing I did this year. So usually when they put you in spots, you don't decide where you're supposed to be at. Okay. So you're literally on a paper that has your name. Okay, you're here. These are like USA Today's the 2 spots ahead of you, in front of you on the court. So when it comes to March Madness, there's 2 roads. and there's another row, 2 rows on the other side of the court, and they pick and where you are supposed to be. The main people are supposed to be in the front. So for me, being as a photographer, being very, very short, you have to sit down for those games. So you're on your knees or you're sitting down. So luckily, I had a couple people, creators, give me some like a pull up stool so I can sit on so I can see higher, because some of the photographers and videographers are very, very much taller than me. So going back to you said to prepare for a shoot. For me, I charge all my batteries. I have 10 batteries ready to go.
Yeah,
So
that
I
was one of
charge
my questions. Yeah.
I charge the batteries the night before or the day of. So kind of just going through the routine, figuring out where I want to be.
Yeah.
If you go to a certain area or a certain gym, you know where you want to be, how the lighting is. Um, some high schools have different lighting, some gyms have different lighting, so you kind of just stay in one spot and just move as much as you can, but go back to that same spot or
Yeah.
get the higher angles. So, um, preparing for shoots, it can be, I learn a lot. So, learning from other experiences and then trying to figure out other angles that people don't see every day.
Yeah.
When it comes to basketball, I had um, a shot where one of the kids was going up for a layup, and one of the kids, absolutely loved that shot.
Yeah.
It's a different angle, different perspective of what you're trying to shoot, not just on the court, but above the court. If you see NFL creators, they go in the rafters and shoot from down low, and that's one of the things I would like to do someday, but not that high up.
That's crazy. I didn't know they did that, man.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Okay. Talk to us about like challenges. You talked about batteries. I was actually going to ask about that. I was
You're
curious
good.
because I just use a GoPro when I'm doing some of my stuff, and sometimes I forget to charge it. And I'm like, oh no, rookie mistake.
Yep. Yep.
What are some challenges that you faced, or just in general? And how do you overcome those obstacles?
Okay. Some of the challenges I face is more of like, so for camera overheating, that's one of the biggest things during the summertime when your camera overheats, and you're missing all these things are going on. It's like, well, I gotta let my camera cool, because if it overheats, it's gonna be a bad idea and it's gonna be a rough time doing some shots. So another issue that I've had is SD card. For getting an SD card. So you always gotta prepare. You have 2 slots of SD cards and ready to go. So I double checked on those.
Is that because you fill them up with so many pictures? Is that why?
So my card is a 256 gigabyte. I can take up to 9,000 photos in one shoot.
Okay.
So I try not to take that many.
Yeah.
But so for the 2 slots, you can have 2 SD cards, and one slot can do video, one slot can do photos. So I kind of just do everything on one card
Yeah.
as of now, to kind of just keep everything. Um, but some of the challenges when it comes to photography is, especially for basketball games, it's very hard to figure out where you want to be at, because if you don't want to be in other people's way as you're shooting, so you kind of give them room. I respect that. If you're there, I'm going to be up somewhere else. So, but how do I overcome them? Is kind of just go, play it by ear, kind of just figure out where I need to be at next. So, another challenge. Football is a different one. So you're gonna be 20. I usually try to be 20 yards down the field as possible. Sometimes I want to be in the sideline where all the players are at.
Yeah.
But coming from a news perspective, I've always learned 20 yards down the field is better to be. You can adjust better.
Yeah.
So if you're, say like a ball is coming your way and players coming your way, you have that reaction time of moving. But sometimes you just gotta be aware where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah. You see those classic replays with the camera guy getting smashed
Yep.
on the sideline, right?
Yep.
Has that happened to you at all?
When I worked for KNDU one time, I was in Royal and it was cold. This was like November playoff time. It was like 50 degrees, pouring down rain, and I'm filming the intros of the players coming out for a playoff game. And I didn't know that the team was going to run towards me. Like the rest of the players going to run towards me into a big old pile and big old huddle. And I'm in the pile as they're jumping up and down. And one of the players accidentally swung his helmet across and hit me right inside the head. And I was like, oh man, and it's cold. So I'm like, man, that really hurt. So, but I went to a Kennewick football game a couple of years ago when they were playing, after I did state country, cross country shoot. And it was Miles Mayovsky, and I wasn't paying attention. And next thing you know, he's 5 feet from me. So I did a whole back, somersault. I moved as fast as I can. He jumped right over me. So I've had those issues where you just gotta be alert. I know I had that last year in state basketball. I was literally tying my shoe on the court when I got there. And next, a guy's flying over my head,
Gee,
out of bounds. So I've had those challenges and overcomes like on those things. So it's got to be aware of your surroundings as much as you can, especially for basketball or baseball, kind of foul ball,
for sure.
line drive. It's one of the worst things that you've ever gonna have to experience. So just be aware of your surroundings.
Did the medical staff check you for a concussion after you got hit in the head?
No, I just went with it. I played on that field when I was in high school, and I was a small dude my freshman year, and I played against Rome. But that was my first game ever, and the big,
Yeah.
300-pound guys are pushing me around, and next, like 5 minutes later, I got a concussion. So it's all turf field. So
Yeah.
no, I'm fine. I powered through it.
Yeah.
Like one of the players was, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. It just hurts a little bit." It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "That's okay. It's part of being out here." So
Just don't
yeah,
hit the
what's gonna
camera,
happen?
right? Just don't hit the camera.
Yeah, I don't mind this. I'd rather have the camera be tucked to my side and not being broken. So
I
yes,
gotta I gotta ask, what's the hardest sport to shoot photos for?
hardest sport to shoot photos for. Dang. Baseball. Baseball is kind of one of the tough ones, but
Yeah,
softball especially.
really.
Softball is very hard to shoot through a fence, like a metal fence, where it's baseball, where it's more netting.
Yeah,
I have shot in golf before, and it is very hard to shoot, especially for golf. Trying to figure out where you need to be at, not try to get hit from players. So
sure.
I did that a couple years ago. I took a golf cart out to Wine Valley and kind of hit behind hills, but try not to be in the player's way. So that's another challenge, shot game that I've done before.
Yeah.
That's been very challenging and hard to follow. But hockey is one of the ones you got to be aware of
Oh,
all the time. So,
yeah.
um, especially when they come out of the benches between
Yeah.
because you're between the benches and a stick. I
Yeah.
had a player from Spokane. So when you come out of the off the ice, you post this stick up, upright.
Yeah.
And he had it sideways, and I wasn't paying attention on the other side. I was looking down the other side for the AMs, and I got whacked right in the head. So you just got to be aware. Go ahead.
I didn't realize you had such a dangerous job, man.
Hey, it's if you love what you do, this is you're gonna get some bumps and bruises, but this is what you love to do. So,
For sure.
um, like I said, going back to the camera people on the sidelines for NFL, you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
they're trying to get the shot, and it happens. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell me how you stay creative, dude, because I'm sure you probably go back and look at your old stuff and you're probably like, oh man, I wish maybe I'd done this. I've learned so much since then. Like, how do you stay creative and find like new perspectives when capturing these sports photos?
okay, so going to creative, staying creative is one of my biggest things. When I'm on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, I kind of go off and see what other creators have created.
Yeah.
I did see last year for the Walla Walla Sweets, I made this video of Ben Parker, who played for Women College, and I saw this thing that this guy did for LSU for Paul Skeens, and I thought it was the coolest little thing. It was kind of more of a trumpet like beat as
Yeah.
he's pitching, but then another one he made was batting, and the bat would follow the beat of the trumpet hit.
Oh,
So
wow.
stuff like that, I kind of look forward to. Other ways I can stay creative is kind of finding new things. I'm looking at other creators' work and ask them how they do that.
Yeah.
It's just trying to figure out what I can do better as being creative. I've learned things every day as a
Yeah.
creator. Premiere, Photoshop, Lightroom. I learned from some people that are really good with Photoshop, so they kind of give me the background on how to stay more of creative. But yeah, kind of just looking more through social media and trying to figure out what I can do better.
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes videos when I first started out, I had a GoPro as well.
Yeah.
So really, you got to get those low angles. You're running around, and it's hard to do video with a GoPro. It is
It is.
absolutely very hard,
You got to be close.
especially
Yeah.
when it's coming to sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, trying to find new things on social, and if I see something, I'm like, "How did you do that?" And they'll comment, or I'll send them a message, and they'll kind of give me a rundown on what they do, or kind of like a video kind of perspective of what they can do. And different people do use different Adobe Premiere or Final Cut, so it's gonna be different either way. So just kind of just looking through on social.
Got it. All right, man. Me and many others got to know, man. How do you manage your schedule? Like, how do you do
Oh,
this?
Oh, managing schedule. I did see a thing the other day, last night on Instagram, and it was a video of all these people in, think I can't remember what movie it was, but they're all sitting there, and the captions like when all the games are scheduled at one time, it's just everybody's hands are hitting their face. It's like, oh no, kind of thing. So how I manage my time, my schedule, I kind of pick the games I want to cover. I would try to cover every team.
Yeah,
I know some teams are on the same night, so if I haven't covered, say, Kamaikan or Richland playing,
yeah,
I'm going to cover those two teams at the same day.
got it.
Um, but scheduling, it's got to plan out and not try to put everything at one time.
Yeah,
I know I do that sometimes. I'm like, oh no, I got this going on. Well, I've got to drop one.
yeah,
Um, you kind of go for the ones that are going to be the most important to you as yourself as a creator. Or I know I've had issues where I had a big event going on the next day. I'm like, oh no, I have this going on later in the night. So I kind of just drop it or not go as I planned I was going to.
yeah,
So managing the schedule is kind of, it can be tough, but kind of just work around it as best I can. Like this weekend, I have the blue and white football game this weekend for Kybe, and then I got the Cliff Averill thing
yeah,
at 1 o'clock, and
yeah,
then next thing you know, I'm back at it again with Dust Devils at 5:30. So
yeah,
kind of balancing scheduling out.
yeah,
If something doesn't work out at one time, I'm just gonna say nope, I can't do that. I'd rather go where I need it for I'm being paid
yeah.
or something that's very important to me.
Yeah, it sounds like eventually you're gonna have to hire yourself an admin.
I'm pretty much my admin myself, so
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
all the
no, for
scheduling
sure.
myself.
Someday, maybe someday.
I'd love
So
to.
obviously, with how popular you've gotten in a good way, right? Like,
Yeah.
people want you to be there, like,
Yeah.
because I mean, there's a lot of guys out there taking photos and taking pictures, and they're all great. But how do you go about choosing your games now with being in like high demand?
Okay. So when I choose games, I kind of just find the games or more. So when I do football, for instance, I do Tushi football, which people don't really see a whole lot. I know they have that small community, the sales or college plays that,
Yeah,
people don't see. So when it comes to games, I kind of pick the games or, like I said, going back to the teams, which teams I have not covered.
that's
And if
cool.
I can't make it to that game, I cannot make it to that game. I try to cover as best teams locally as I can. So, TCP, Burbank, Riverview, kind of stuff like that, small schools that people don't see. For me, as for the 1As like Royal or Zilla, I wait for them to come down to here.
Yeah,
So I don't have to drive up there and make my time. So, um, choosing games can be very tough as a photographer. Why is it like, okay, I got this game and then I got that game. So now I just need to do a coin toss on which one's going to be the top most likes, which one you're going to go after that's going to get seen more. So for KNDU, going back to KNDU, my KNDU days,
yeah.
I would shoot 3 football games a night.
Man,
So you go, say, I think I shot last time I did football for them, I shot Sela and then drove down to West Valley. And then from West Valley, I did Davis.
dude,
So it literally, you have to manage your time. Sometimes if the games get out of hand, if it's like 40-0 at halftime, I'm out of there. I'm
yeah,
not staying for the rest of the game. I'll go see what the other scores are. Um, for me, it's hard for me to listen on the radio as I'm driving back. So trying to figure out which games are going to be the easy ones, but more the competitive ones.
yeah, yeah,
So, and the teams that you don't see very often, like going back to Tucci, I don't see Pomeroy, I don't see Amara, Cooley, Heartline, teams that I don't see every day. So that's
yeah,
how I choose my games,
yeah.
is teams that aren't seen on the page that are way
Cool.
out there.
Yeah, I love that, man. So talk to somebody right now, maybe who's just scrolling and man saying, "Man, I wish I could do what Lit does, or I
Yeah.
want to do that." What would you say to somebody who's just starting out or wants to do it but they haven't started yet for whatever reason?
Okay. Oh, that's a good one. What advice kind of find your groove? I mean, you gotta find, it's cameras and, work up. Like I said, GoPro, when I first started out, that's all I had.
Yeah,
I didn't have a camera.
yeah,
I worked up so much of my time with parents and shoots. I didn't charge a whole lot. I just wanted the kids to get out there during COVID.
yeah,
The exposure wise. So luckily, I had someone donate a camera, which was very helpful to me. And since then, it's just been taken off. But giving advice is start strong or start small and then just keep working your way up. It takes a lot of time especially where I'm at right now. So, almost 5 years of doing this. So it takes a lot of time, lots of effort to put into your time. Um, but just if you love doing sports, love capturing sports, love being around sports, it's the way to go. But just start small. You don't need something fancy right off the bat.
Yeah.
You don't need a Sony A7 IV to go, or a 4. You go right off the bat. Like, I'm going to shoot this nice camera. It's not about the camera, it's the person behind the camera that knows more of the experience part. So I would just start small and just work your way up.
Dude, that was a money quote right there. You just said it's about the person behind the camera. I love that heart right
Yeah,
there. That's awesome, dude. Well, hey, I just want to thank you for your time.
anytime.
Fitting me into your busy schedule. I also just want to say thank you. And as a local coach, as a local fan of sports, especially at the high school level, I just want to say thank you on behalf of everybody because, man, your photos and what you're doing for the community and these kids, it really does make them feel special and seen. And I think
Appreciate that.
that's what we miss a lot of in culture right now is people don't feel special or seen anymore. And what you're doing is bringing that out. And so keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep grinding. I can't wait to see you on the side of a Super Bowl someday.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I know a lot of connections. I'm working my way
I know
up
you
there.
said Seahawks dream shoot, but someday you're going to be shooting for the NFL, man. And
Appreciate it.
and so, anyways, man, keep up the hard work. I appreciate all you're doing, and you're
Appreciate
off the hot seat.
it. Appreciate it.